Can you give me an example of how Lean Six Sigma has helped a top line grow at an organization that you've worked with?
Okay, and by top line now, I'm going to refer to it grows our revenue, and I'm going to say I've seen it done with Lean Six Sigma. First of all, there are companies out there that actually require their supplier or their provider to be involved with Lean Six Sigma, and if they are not, then the customer or the person that's being supplied, the company that's being supplied, has a feeling that maybe the business they're working with is not that interested in making the product or service such that costs are reduced, quality is up, variation is down, that kind of thing. Right. So one, it enhances the relationship with people that you're supplying if you are a supplier, enhances the relationship that you have with customers, so there's a strategic relationship that will exist. It also grows your market share. We actually had, and once again I will refer to the business, but I've not only done it in GE, I've done it in other business where we can actually, if we introduce a new product or service, or we want to see what will happen if we enhance our customer satisfaction a couple of percent, what does that lead to in terms of increased revenue? When you get your processes very well defined and you have data that now it takes a while to accumulate it, but we had data which we had, say, acquired over a 2-year basis. We actually came up with the relationship that existed between customer satisfaction and growing your market share or increasing your revenues. And so it helps us there. It helps us in new product development. The tools of Lean Six Sigma are used in new product development. And knowing what the customer wants, being able to come up, let's say, with a customer scorecard, being able to investigate what the customer really has to have, we're able to design products and services that better meet the needs of the customer. And so therefore, when you're able to do that, once again, it has an impact on revenue because you're selling more of the product or service. It has an impact because now you're building goodwill and you're increasing your market base and so on. And so that grows the revenues. That's how, when we say it grows the top line, that's basically what we're looking at.
Yeah. You know, and I'll throw out a couple of examples as well, Rick. We have a cover story coming out about Microsoft's Lean Six Sigma deployment. They don't call it Lean Six Sigma. They call it quality and business excellence. To your point, they get Lean Six Sigma to fit the culture of the organization. But they've shown over the years that taking costs out isn't where they save, you know, the big dollars. Taking 100 million or 10 million out of a process is a drop in the bucket. What they want to do is increase their customer satisfaction. Sure. If they can increase their customer satisfaction a fraction of a point, that leads to hundreds of millions of dollars in top line revenue growth. And so, you know, to your point, that's you really need to understand your business and how Lean Six Sigma can help you achieve your business objectives and then implement it in that fashion.
Sure, that's a great example, Mike. That goes along with we actually had a relationship that showed us, okay, if we grow 1% or 2% in customer satisfaction, what does that equate to in dollars?
Yeah.
And we broke it down in terms of, okay, not only increased originations, but now what's that going to do to our servicing income and so on. And it was nice to have those kind of relationships that existed so that we could see where we needed to grow the business.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll throw out one more example just because we were on the GE Capital topic. You know, I worked at GE Capital Commercial Equipment Finance. We provide leases and loans to all different types of commercial equipment, one of which was Xerox or copier machines, any type of copier machines, which usually have a decent price tag for a small business, but not, you know, not hundreds of thousands at all. But we found that if we could reduce our cycle time to deliver a quote to customers, that we would win more business. The problem is a customer came to us and asked us for a quote to create a lease for this, you know, $5,000 copier machine. We would have an internal process that would then go through and evaluate whether we want to extend them credit, what their credit worthiness is, what the rate should be, all these factors internal that the customer could care less about. And it would take us, I think, 2 weeks to turn around a decision. A lot of them were yes, because it's not a lot of money, and a lot of our customers were credit worthy. But But by that point, one of our competitors was beating us to the punch. And these customers will take the first lease or loan because they need to do their business. So we found that if we reduced our cycle time, we were able to operate more efficiently internally to turn around an answer to the customer faster. We won more business. And that was a big top-line benefit by reducing our inefficiencies in-house.
Sure. I think that, once again, the example you give is great. I have two quick examples.
Yeah.
One is in oil field services. Without naming the company, we worked with them, and they were having a problem, exactly what you said, providing a tender to a customer. In other words, how much will it cost us? When can we do it? And so on. And they were taking so long in their process that they were losing customers. And what they had to do and what they did was go inside, they went internally and looked at their tender process and realized, 90% of that is a process that can be captured and done very systematically and very quickly. 10%, which is specific to a company, now they improve that part of the process so that they could now turn around their tenders to the customer very quickly, and they started gaining, as you indicated, more business. Mm-hmm. The other thing, and this was when I first got to GE Capital, we had a visit by Pete Van Balen, who was Jack Welch's quality leader, and he asked the question, how long should it take GE Mortgage to underwrite a loan and to approve a loan and then fund that loan? And nobody raised their hand to answer that question. And I was new and like an idiot. I thought, well, I'm going to answer that question. And I raised my hand. He called on me and I said, okay, it should take 30 days, no more than 30 days. And he looked at me like I didn't know what I was talking about. He said, where'd you get that answer? And I said, well, back then that was industry standard. If we could do it, Ditech was doing it in 10 days, but industry standard, if you could do it in 30 days, you were great. And he looked at me and he said, you know what? That is a wrong answer. The right answer is it depends on what the customer wants. If the customer wants it in 4 days, you have to be able to say, I can fund it in 4 days and have a process that satisfies that. If you can't do it in 5 days, then you need to be able to tell the customer, I'm sorry, my process is not capable of doing that. Okay, but bottom line was our processes need to be flexible enough, need to be efficient enough, streamlined enough so that we could provide the customer and flexible enough the terms and conditions that they wanted.